they've got a couple of things that I like. You know, Splinterlands is certainly a popular game and is doing well. Beyond that, really not that wowed. There's a couple sort of nice little premises with some of the DeFi stuff and the NFT stuff, but it's a weak ecosystem. It's a really weak ecosystem comparatively to some of the things out there. So Hive have got to do something in terms of getting people to participate in Hive. Because look, you know, they're on every exchange. You know, they're well regarded as a general blockchain. They've got good tech behind everything that they do. They're fast, they're feelers. That's great. But there is not a drive or a strong enough drive for growth. Look,
there's one person that has a massive wallet that doesn't like me, and they just, even though a bunch of other people vote up my posts, one person who's done everything they could to lie, cheat, and steal from the community, they just can single-handedly trash all of my posts and thousands of other people's posts, and they can cash out relentlessly for themselves. What ruins this entire project is this little feature right here, the ability to downvote. So you saw how I upvoted on Steam. So if I just upvote a random post right here, I'll just upvote this one. And look, it'll get a few cents, although the interface doesn't show it immediately. Now, at the same time, I can go click this button, and it'll take a few cents away from their posts. And unfortunately for human beings, we're programmed that negative stimuli, for example, somebody taking a little bit of money out of our pockets, hurts disproportionately more than getting money feels good. And this allows us...
Welcome back to the channel. I hope you all are having a great evening. So guys, I think today we got to start talking about the Hive blockchain quite a bit. I think it's going to be very important going forth into our crypto future. So we're going to talk about a Hive price prediction video today. Get you a little bit familiar with Hive. I think the opening excerpts came from Crypto James and Jerry Banfield, where they talked about Hive, what it was about, and so on. So we want to take a little excerpt there and expand on that a little bit, but talk about give the community a chance, because on the education entertainment television show, we want to take all the information available to us. We want to see what the community sentiment is about certain projects, because all that's going to factor into the price and value of a project. So many of you probably know about Hive. Some of you might have aren't that familiar with it, might have never used it before. But Hive is starting to align, I think, with much of the direction the transition from Web 2 needs to go in to get to Web 3. And so Hive seems to be spearheading that, I think, despite looking at many other cryptocurrency projects, despite Hive's shortcomings, it seems to have staying power in that area, although a lot of people aren't impressed with the price of Hive, right? And so what I want to do is talk about why I think this is going to be a positive video for the Hive blockchain, and why I think that's going to have a good impact on the price of Hive. So one factor about Hive that makes it such a good product is it's probably one of the most easily usable interfaces and onboard products that I've seen in cryptocurrency, right? The blockchain is pretty much feeless. And when you couple that with something like the success of what you might get with Bitcoin or Ethereum, Hive doesn't seem to have that problem, right? It can the value of Hive and the problem of transactional fees isn't really a big factor for Hive. your ability to do transactions replenish every 24 hours, and in most cases, people aren't going to use up those resources, right? As to say, it's pretty much a free blockchain to operate on. Now, uh, as many of us are probably aware of what's been happening with Bitcoin as of late, we see products like the Bitcoin ordinals and tokens on Bitcoin pretty much driving up the transactional fees of Bitcoin, making it unusable to a lot of people. And unfortunately, that's not sending a good message to people who want to use these products. Remember, we still have to be able to use these products, right, in an efficient way. And that's what's going to win out in the end, right? Now, Hive has all those bases covered. Hive isn't trying to get on the big blockchains. It's already there. It already has the stand power, the legacy. It forked over from Steam. It really is Steam now, but the community forked it because they believe that figures like Justin Sun would make it centralized and so on, right? But let's talk about why I think the Hive is going to, price prediction wise, it's the future and why it's going to do so well. But besides just what we mentioned. So if we look at a product like Zen that I talk about a lot on this channel, that's really beefed up the crypto space ecosystem by doing something that makes total sense, allowing people to obtain the cryptocurrency free or as close to free as possible, right? This creates something called network effect, right? A lot of people tend to erroneously think that means a cryptocurrency will have a value of zero. But the reason we know that's not the case, because if you look at something like the early days of Dogecoin, where people pretty much gave it away or its value was almost at zero, early days of many of these meme coins that was valued almost at zero, we see even at being worth almost nothing, they still amassed a great amount of value, right? And so people obtaining cryptocurrencies free in large sums of amounts doesn't necessarily affect network effect at all. In fact, it can have a different situation, right? Now, the thing about something like Hive, what we're starting to put together here is that Hive is one of these projects that, and this isn't Hive you're looking at, this is Bitcoin MYK. This is actually a token existing on the Hive blockchain, right? And so it's very important because the algorithm Bitcoin MYK uses, right, is dealing with a lot of issues, those shortcomings that has held Hive back that I don't think will in the future, because what it does is, instead of allowing abuse on the platform, it uses AI technology in order to prevent that by using AIs to allow for upvoting, no downvoting. And so it would seem all the good things that existed on Hive through use of this platform, this second layer platform on Hive, we think is going to be able to onboard billions of people. But because the Hive blockchain is so well integrated to work with this particular platform, minus all the negative things that exist in the Hive community, we believe that it's going to have a big impact, right? There have been a few good applications that have launched on the Hive blockchain, but as you can see from the videos, the community sentiment, it hasn't been enough to excite people enough to join Hive. And I think that's about to change with ordinals on Bitcoin that have broken the top tokens on Bitcoin right now, are projects that allow you to obtain the cryptocurrency free, right? And that is very important going forward. But let's get into this, what kind of prices I think we're going to see. We want to set this up so you can understand what I think is going to be driving the prices, right, up. All right, so looking at higher prices, it seems to settle around this about 38, 40 cents, somewhere in that ballpark. The highest I think I've ever seen it at has been around about $3.50, something like that. And so the reason I think that Hive has a good chance of going up a tremendous amount in value, I can see Hive value going as high as about $150 a coin. And I know a lot of people say that's ridiculous. That'll never happen. But the reasons I think that probably is going to happen is because I believe that we're at a, um, I believe we're now at a precipice, right? Uh, where cryptocurrency is evolving and maturing. So when we see projects like Zen that has went to from pretty much giving away cryptocurrency free to market caps 30-40 million dollars, right? I think that we're going to see Zen make it to billions, right, with this concept. Now, where I think this is going to explode on a platform like Hive is that due to their feeless transactions. Now, I know Jack Levin in the Zen product talks a lot about the transaction fees being tied to the value of the cryptocurrency. But I think it's more like network effect is what ties to the value, right? So the more connectivity you have counts and points of connectivity under Metcalfe's law. That's what's going to be relational to the value, right? So in other words, it still comes down to, excuse me, it still comes down to not just transaction fees keeping you afloat through this system of the validators and so on, but what it comes down to is can you get more value, more money, more network in? And Hive is at a blockage where it can't do that, but that can be quickly changed with the right application. So projects like Bitcoin and YK that are well constructed to fit with Hive that's starting to gain new people and went up 1,000% in just the last 30 days. That shows us it can be done. And imagine if it could be done feeless with easy onboarding, right? And that's what Hive thrives at, right? It is Web 3.0, right? It is basically no different than the average. It's not going to feel any different from the average user using his Twitter and Instagram accounts every day, right? Unfortunately, what the Hive ecosystem didn't get fast enough, which I think has kept them down, has been the fact that the way that their distribution system work, right, with their social media posts and so on, is that the way it was set up is actually kept their numbers down. It's driven people out, and that makes it where people can't bring new money in, right? Projects like Bitcoin and MYK, I think, are going to just keep gaining new users and more users, and using basically what is the free cryptocurrency system, right? So basically, what you have is you technically have a free cryptocurrency and you have free transactions. I know that just goes over many people in cryptocurrency head. They cannot understand it, no matter how much you try to explain it. But I would reference many back, at least many who view my channel. I think they'll get it quicker because we felt the same way about the Zen cryptocurrency project. We thought it would be no way they talked about how people would abuse it with bots and it would just be all these bots and the value would be worthless. Well, Zen is probably likely going to become not only a top 10 cryptocurrency, but $1 billion project based on anybody being able to mint a free cryptocurrency. But unlike Hive, Hive has a much more easily accessible, understandable, and less frustrating blockchain to work with it, right? And because Hive's already on so many chains, it has the legacy. Its technology was first really started by Dan Larimer, who was responsible for EOS and responsible for BitShares and so on. That's still part of that legacy, and this is that same community, right? So, in other words, Hive doesn't have to build up like Zen, like a project like Zen does. It has everything already in place for it to work substantially, and uh, tokens unlike Bitcoin and YK, I think is going to get the job done. I think we're going to be looking at $150 high price prediction, right? Uh, Now, unfortunately, the negative would be if something happens with Bitcoin and YK, because right now I think Bitcoin and YK is the only product that can do it. Now, some people will look at this and and they'll think, well, maybe the Splinterlands, maybe the other some of the other things, and besides Splinterlands, it's not really much other applications there, although it should be. It's a place I understand a lot of devs have fun building on and so on, but it just because it's without venture capitalists. Remember, we gotta also put into this that the success of many products have depended on banks and venture capitalists, and Hive has been more decentralized in that way, where it doesn't have to, it hasn't had that control. It's been community control for the most part up until now, which is what we really want in cryptocurrency. We don't want private banks controlling the blockchains. That that doesn't get us anywhere. We can do that outside the blockchain, but that's also what's made the process for Hive slow, right? So, but it's going to be a big turnaround, I believe, when the right applications get on Hive, and I think Bitcoin MYK is well put together to spearhead that and cause the initial price run up that I think is not a matter if it's coming, not a matter of if, but when. And although not financial advice, holding Hive is probably going to always be a good thing in that regard, because it's probably likely it is going to. I know a lot of people have more grim predictions because the community can be quite toxic, right? But I just want you all to keep something in mind. And trust me, I've been on the worst part of that community, right? My reputation score is negative, not because I did anything to anybody, but just because people have tried to stop where this project can go and the good it can do, right? And so that's what's kept a lot of people off the platform. So I get where everybody's coming from, but I just want people to keep in mind that it only takes one right product, one right application to use this efficient technology to change everything overnight. And I think Bitcoin MYK is going to do that. I think that it has all of the parameters of what builds a healthy community, what's not going to have us fighting amongst each other, war with one another. I think it has all the fair distribution algorithmic things built in. And it's bitcoinmyk.com. The best way to get a very good understanding of it is go ahead and get your account free today. Now, the only thing I would say is a little drawback on Hive is that, and this isn't really a drawback because there are ways you can just get your wallets free. But much like the EO system, and keep in mind after you get the wallet, pretty much all your transactions are free, right? You're not going to have to worry about it again, no matter what the price or value. You can send money all over the world. But a wallet's probably going to cost you right now around, I think it's like $3 Hive. It's like $1 or something.